Now that you've found UBN Radio and discovered our quality talk shows, it's time to spread the word to friends, family, and the universe. 24 hours of music and talk radio without limits. That's why people keep coming back for more. That's ubnradio.com.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. You're tuned into Dr. Judy WTF, which is What the Freud. I'm your host, Walt Lusk, and in studio is Dr. Judy Rosenberg here at ubnradionetwork.com. And somewhere along the way, we lost our audience. But you know what? I think they just walked in.
They're so consistent.
Yeah, it's tough getting good help these days. And it's interesting. Our show this week is entitled Laughter and Fun. We're gonna
play.
We're going to have a lot of fun today. And we are definitely going to have a lot of fun later in the show if you stay tuned, and thank you for doing so. Shrinking That Tune, which is one of the normal segments of our show. And we can be heard on iTunes, and of course we're part of the iHeart family, and here at UBN Radio Network. And Dr. Judy has an amazing plethora of patience and experience, and is heard around the world, and of course in offices in Sherman Oaks and Beverly Hills, and is an author of a book, Be the Cause, Healing Human Disconnect. And it's part of our show is trying to be more connected. And from what I've gleaned, Doctor, one of the best ways to be connected is to laugh.
Definitely.
And the question is, how often do you laugh? The average 40-year-old laughs only about 4 times a day. That's, yes, folks, 4 times a day. A toddler laughs over 100 times a day.
That explains a lot.
That explains everything.
Yeah.
Okay? That's from Psychology Today. So, how many times have you laughed, and have you laughed today? The day's not over. Doesn't matter where you're hearing it from, and you can do that. A good laugh, hearty laugh, relieves physical tension and stress, leaving your muscles relaxed for up to 45 minutes afterward. Laughter does boost your immune system. We're going to talk about all this. And it decreases stress hormones and increases immune cells and infection-fighting antibodies, thus improving your resistance to disease. So again, have you laughed today?
Well, if you're 40, it's probably about 4 times. What if you're 50 or 60 or, So a lot of what we talk about is the darkness and the wounds of childhood. And so I thought maybe we can get on the lighter side of things and talk about how laughter and play and fun and joy are our best medicine, because they really are. As Walt said, 45 minutes worth of stress relief.
From one laugh.
One laugh.
Yeah. I mean, but wait, there's more. But also, before I forget, this is a call-in show. So if you want to get on the couch and laugh with us and talk about your emotional loss, and we'll all laugh with you, not at you, then call us in area code 323-843-2826. That's 323-843-2826. And you can write us at info@drjudywtf.com. We just got a show idea. I have to talk to you after the show.
Okay.
Somebody wrote in. So we read everything that comes in.
Well, this is a show idea. This show idea comes from one of our great fans. Actually, he did call in. He goes by the name of Andrew. And thank you, Andrew, for this for this suggestion. And I want to talk a little bit about using laughter and play as a therapeutic tool. Not just as a tool, because it's not just that calculated. I know, Walt, you've been to the Psychological Healing Center. A lot of times you even ask me, why are you guys laughing so much in the therapy room?
Well, no, I've been there many, many times. And to be honest with you, without exception, every single time I've been, there is no time where I haven't heard at least some serious laughter during a session.
Right. And so what is laughter?
Because you are very funny.
Well, that was one of the things that we bonded over when we met, which was at a mixer, I believe.
It was a
luncheon.
networking mixer in Beverly Hills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Where else but Beverly Hills, right?
Exactly.
And so we were at the far corner of the room,
Yeah.
and I noticed that you had a sense of humor, and that was like a connection for us because we both really do know how to crack each other up. And you actually get my good jokes and bad jokes.
Well, that's funny.
Way.
You get mine too, so we're even.
I do.
Thank you very much.
Oh, nice one, Walt. Had to put that in there, huh?
I just had to slip it in, yeah.
So anyway, laughter and psychotherapy. What a strange combination. But I do notice that when you're able to give people therapeutic distance from themselves and have them view themselves from an objective point of view, the cracked lens of perception that they were so married to before now becomes funny. I mean, really, people have these negative core beliefs, which we talk a lot about. Core beliefs like I'm stupid, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable. And somewhere around session number 5, 6, 7, they, I'll test out their negative core belief and I'll say to them their negative core belief, and they'll start cracking up, or they'll just go like, ha, that's funny.
That was so yesterday.
Yeah. And so I think that when you're able to get somebody to laugh, you're able to penetrate their barriers, which is panel number 5. And if you would be so kind as to put the mind map up there.
And those of you who are listening to us on podcast, you can go to drjudywtf.com and see all the 3-panel system.
And you can also download the app
on your iPhone.
On the iPhone.
Psychological Healing Center on your iPhone, and get it there. And a plethora of other things as well.
Yeah. Psychological Healing Center is the name of the app, and you can see the mind map on the app, and that actually rhymes. And so the mind map is divided into 3 sections, and the top section is our past, the wounds of the past and how we react to them and how we encode them into the fiber of our being in the form of negative core beliefs, which then lower our sense of self-esteem. And then the middle panel, the middle part of the mind map represents the chaos of that results out of the wounds of childhood and how that breaks down and then gets defended against, and then ultimately breaks down big time again into implosions and explosions. And I think what laughter does, let me just go to the 3rd panel, which is the paradigm shift, which is the shift out of the entire past of the wounds and out of the defense mechanisms that then defend against the wounds, and that's the shift in the recoding into healing. So basically what laughter does is it is a kind of like a sneaky way to sneak up on the unconscious mind and then shed some light on the unconscious mind, give the person some therapeutic perspective on it so they could crack up about themselves. And once they do that, they're released from the prison of the pathology because no longer are they identifying with it. Now they can just identify it and laugh at it. Does that make sense to you, Walt?
It does, and I can expand on that, and that is laughter really is the best medicine. There's lots and lots of health benefits. Humor is infectious. The sound of a roaring laughter is far more contagious than any cough, sniffle, or sneeze. When laughter is shared, it binds people together and increases happiness and intimacy. Laughter also triggers healthy physical changes in the body. Humor and laughter strengthen your immune system, boost your energy, diminish pain, and protect you from damaging effects of stress. Best of all, this priceless medicine is fun, free, and of course, very easy to use. How's that? It's pretty cool.
Not that easy. You have to have a sense of humor.
Well, yeah, you do have a sense of humor. Laughter is a very, very powerful antidote to stress, pain, and conflict. Nothing works faster or more dependently to bring your mind and body back in balance than a good laugh. Humor lightens your burdens, inspires hope, connects you to others, and keeps you grounded, focused, and alert.
And so going back to attachment theory, if a baby is breastfed and eye contacted and skin contacted and their emotions are regulated and all of those functions are working well, then they're in a place of joy, and they're in a place of being able to receive the light and to receive the joy of life. And so, speaking of those 100 laughs of an infant, a healthy infant will laugh more. But, of course, Walt, that a damaged infant is not going to laugh as much. And so once an infant starts shutting down and starts barricading into their emotions and concluding in their own way that the world is not a safe place to be, the world is not a place where they're going to be attended to, or even worse, neglected, or beaten and neglected and abused in some shape or form, that baby is going to start shutting down, and so that baby isn't open to joy. And so those hormones, those the dopamine and the serotonin, right, was not going to be released.
And we have a call.
Oh,
good
yay.
evening,
Okay.
and thanks for getting on the couch with Dr. Judy and Walt.
Welcome. Hi. Can you hear us?
We could hear him a minute ago.
I think he'll call back.
Calling again.
I have a feeling he'll call back.
Are you there now? Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Super. Hi, thanks for calling. You're on the air and on the couch with Dr. Judy.
Dr. Judy, this is Brooks Warren, Andrew's good friend.
Hey, how
Can you
you
hear
doing?
me?
I could hear you. I was looking forward to your calling in. It's fantastic.
Well, I'm excited. I just turned 70 April 15th,
Well,
and
happy
been
birthday.
doing healing power, laughter, and play workshops for 33 years. And started in 83, and Annette Goodhart was my laughter mentor, my best female mentor of all time. And we do these international workshops all over the country, like Clearwater. First one I went to was Dallas. And everything you and Walt are saying is true. The laughter hits the thymus gland and makes it all bubbly. And
Yep.
that's the seat of the immune system.
Yeah,
Like every time we think a negative thought, it's cortisol hits.
big time.
Go ahead.
Yeah. We're so mind-body connected.
I hate it when that happens, too.
I wish I could shut off my cortisol button. That would be fantastic.
Me too.
Let's do some more research around that, okay?
Let's do it. Did you notice that Johnny Carson, every time on the Tonight Show, he went through a divorce and had to give up $100 million or so dollars, he'd laugh louder and louder.
Well, because he knew
much of
100 and the
laughter is
100
cathartic.
million is coming next week to him. What's the difference, right?
Right. And so much of it's cathartic. In fact, Annette Goodhart developed a type of therapy called cathartic laugh therapy. And a lot of people would laugh so hard, and she wore pantaloons. She said she did that because she urinated in her panties 3 times a day.
Wow.
Was just laughing too hard?
And that's what I love about y'all in California. There's workshops would not choose to say that here in Montgomery, Alabama, but out there, it's okay. It's the first time I realized the power of laughter was my fiance. I was 21, and I was singing "It's Only Make Believe" to her. She started laughing so hard, she said, "I peed in my panties," and I felt this incredible sense of good power.
Well, if you can
she
make
said, "I
a
love
woman
it."
pee in her panties, that's a sense of good power, I would say. And it's interesting because one of the qualities that women look for, and I'm sure men do too, in their partner, is the ability to have a sense of humor, and
Women do more than men. Women do more than men.
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, if I've been in relationships, I hope by now, and I think that one of the real, Debbie Downer, deadbeat things that I've experienced is when I just don't find the person funny. It's just very flat. and
Well,
it
that's
feels
okay.
like
I often said
it's okay.
I taught 26 years of sociology and psychology at a Methodist college called Huntington, and I said in criminology, if we all lost our sense of humor and ability to laugh, the murder rate would go up 400% in about a month. And I'm half serious and half playful,
No, I think that's serious laughter business. I mean, you're just inspiring me to do laughter workshops along with the mind map therapy. But then again, my mind map therapy is also
well, the infamous words
laughter workshop at times.
The infamous words of Dr. Seuss: "From there to here, from here to there, funny things are everywhere."
Right.
That's great.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I'm a Vietnam vet, and I have a little Vietnamese nephew. My brother in his third marriage
Thank you
adopted. Hui Chong Chong Nguyen, which I love that name. And
What's
then
the
they
name?
adopted Eddie from Hanoi or Ho Chi Minh City. And they laugh a whole lot because my brother and I have always been crazy, and to be sane and grow up in mostly Dothan, Alabama, you've got to have a good sense of humor.
So let me ask you, because I'm not familiar with Alabama. Obviously, I know some people that I've met in from Alabama. However, what do you think? Okay, what's Southern humor like versus maybe the California
I can give you
brand
I
that
can give you
hear?
one. I'm going to ask you if you know this one. My father was from Alabama, and he was a complete, very amazing Southerner. He's here in California and was a physician, and he would go around asking a very important question. Let me see if you've heard this one. How are your gumptions sagatuating?
What?
How is what now?
How are your gumptions sagatuating? And there's three answers to this question. One, scrumptious, fair to middling, or poly.
Wow, that is so far out of my box.
When my father
Jeez.
passed, I Googled it, and it's so far in the deep South. And I asked some other Southerners. They hadn't heard it. That was one of his things. So how are your gumptions sagatuating? That was one of his questions he'd ask people and walk up to him.
Brooke, does that sound familiar to you?
Is that what now?
Does that sound familiar to you?
Not really.
Not really? Well, I'll tell you.
No, I like it.
Yeah. So
But it's hard to stereotype Alabama's sense of humor. The less educated, the more racist and ethnic and stuff like that. But the more education in people, and it's a lot like my son lives in Denver, Colorado, and I hope to move out there in the next couple of years. I'm a PTSD therapist with veterans right now.
Okay.
But just like you, Dr.
more
Judy,
about.
and I can get them laughing and crying, because both laughter and tears create endorphins and create cathartic release, and they're both equally good for us. It's just we can laugh everywhere. When you cry, there's stigma in certain places.
True, and
around
again,
a lot of people.
A Jewish proverb: as soap is to the body, so laughter is to the soul.
Nice.
Amen.
Nice. And one of the funniest things that I found about the South, and I was in Tennessee at the time, I'd go to a restaurant and they'd ask me, would you like your chicken deep fried or double deep fried? I just thought that was great. Like, no, I want 2 heart attacks, not 1. Thank you very much.
Well, I thought it was, would you like your tea sweetened or unsweetened?
No, not that one, but I just love that deep fried stuff, and it tastes too bad either.
Well, you went for the double deep fried, I'm sure.
Oh, I had to. I mean,
course you did.
I already had deep fried. I have to know what double deep fried tastes like.
Absolutely.
But one of the things...
Well, I've done laughter and play workshops like in workplaces, schools, but the magic is about 15 to 30 minutes of lecture, and then after that, lots of experiential, like backward dancing, witty ditties, making a funny song about your work. It's getting people bonded. There's no better way to bond people than laughter.
It brings to mind a memory that I have of a friend of mine who was extremely anxious to the point of major panic attacks all the time. And this was many, many years ago. And he woke up one morning and he worried all the time. And I really genuinely, I wanted to get him out of this. This was way before my mind map therapy. And I was trying to do some scream therapy with him, which is a whole nother story. I could tell you that. But anyway, at the time, I just decided that I was going to invent a song for him. So we both sat down at the piano, and the first chorus was, I'm in a hurry to worry.
Oh my goodness, that's priceless.
And he went from suicidal ideation to cracking up with me, and we put together this song. And if anybody wants the words to this song, I'll be happy to email it to you. It's hysterical. The sad part, of course, is that he did end up putting a bullet in his head, and he didn't die immediately. He went to shooting range, and he lasted a few hours, and he died that day because he was so strung out on medication, and at the time there was just nobody that could help him. But I'll just never forget that my instinctual desire was to crack him up so hard that he wouldn't be worrying anymore. And so I think that within us is this instinct to use our humor, because as a person that loves human beings, because that's what I do all day long, is I help people connect and heal human disconnect. I think that it's instinctual that you want to get in there and you want to raise somebody's level of joy, their level of perspective, their level of serotonin and dopamine. And I want to talk a little bit, and I want to hear your thoughts about this, Brooke. Authenticity and laughter. I mean, there's something that when you're authentic with a human being and you're authentic,
Amen.
Right. Like I had a father
Absolutely.
I had a father that was hysterical. I mean, so funny, but also so insulting. He'd go around telling people, "Hey, Mrs. So-and-so, can you turn around? Your ass is getting fatter and fatter every week." So now you know what kind of father I had. But the way he said it was.
You say your father did that?
My father did that. My father did that.
Wow.
But they'd crack up. I mean, first they'd go like, "Whoa," and then you just hear these people cracking up, and I'm thinking, how does my father get away with saying these things? And I think that
Dr. Judy, to me, that's emotional child abuse.
Well,
you don't say that to a daughter or a son.
Duh. Okay, so
of course, I'm a therapist and a teacher like you are, so I feel a lot of empathy for you.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, well, okay, that was the dark side, but it always confused me that people would crack up, and maybe they cracked up because they were uncomfortable at the insult. I mean, that's part of it too.
Phyllis Diller says.
Well, have you heard of a guy named Michael Pritchard? He's a comedian, and he was first a social worker in California, and he worked with adolescent male rapists and murderers. But I heard him speak in laughter and play workshops, and he told Vietnam combat vet jokes. And I was drafted and sent to Nam. I wanted to go to Canada. I couldn't talk my wife. I just got married. But to make a long story short, he was great because he was a role model. It's just like black people using the N-word in rap and whatever. Mm-hmm. He's the only person I've ever heard tell fat jokes that was great because he was talking about himself.
That's different, right? When you're self-deprecating, use yourself as the theme for the butt of the joke.
Mad Magazine, and Mad taught me to laugh at myself more than anything.
Well, as Phyllis Diller says, a smile is a curve that sets everything straight.
So
that's beautiful. Well, I totally agree.
So I want to hear more about these laughter workshops. You're inspiring me, but go ahead. Okay,
I start off slow because I don't want to scare people. Because there's some people, who are mild depression, or most people clinically depressed won't even come close to a laughter and play workshop. Mm-hmm. But I start off with an exercise. There's a book by Matt Weinstein from California called Playfair that has great exercises. Playfair started in the early 80s. I start off, though, raise your hand in the air. One hand's a rutabaga, two hands is a cabbage, and rutas get together. What you want to do is not threaten people with, pick the most attractive partner. You know how workshops are.
Yeah,
okay. Anyway, to make a long story short, I say for 90 seconds, say everything that you love about life that you enjoy doing. The other person just listens. You can nod your head, but listen. Mm-hmm. And then the other person does the same thing. And if you can't think of anything 90 seconds, just throw your arms up and say everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, and from there on, it builds. Charlie's been to one of my laughter and play workshops, like witty ditties. You talk about stresses, like groups of 3 to 5 people. stresses of the workplace, and you get out and people sing a song. But my favorite really is called the master-slave relationship. And it's not about BDSM, but it just at first people think, oh my God, he's going to get really crazy because I got a little ADD.
Well, just bring out the just bring out the handcuffs and you'll be fine.
That's right.
So that was part of the workshop?
Master-slave is you're a boss and you send out 3 employees just to give sincere compliments. Like I have 40 to 50 to 100 people in a workshop. Mm-hmm. And you can't say something like, I like your bald head. It's got to be a sincere compliment. I love your red sweater or whatever.
Okay.
And boy, people love that.
Well,
what you say is, my boss told me to tell you this. So it's not like you're coming on to somebody or something.
Well, what's interesting is we did a show a little while ago on healing corporate disconnect, and we talked about the fact that if a boss takes 2 minutes and sends a very positive email to a subordinate, it might make their whole day. Mm-hmm. So that's 2 minutes that you've invested as a boss or a manager or a supervisor into somebody that you're supervising, and you get dividends from that 2-minute investment and a comment that you've actually put in print so they can read it over and over again in email, for example, all day. I mean, that's a pretty good return on investment.
And when you open up an email from your boss,
it's like,
what
did I do now?
Oh, what did I do? And then when it's the opposite, it's just such a beautiful feeling that, wow, that person took the time to do this. Mm-hmm. So go ahead.
There's a book called Friends at Work. Makes the point, you have a best friend at work, you're likely, this is some scientific research, to be 7 times more productive. Mm-hmm. But if you have 3 or 4 close friends you can be authentic with and be honest and open about your strengths and your flaws, your energy level. And usually those friends are laughing a lot too, while they're focused on their work too,
And that's the interconnection, my panel 7, right? 1 + 1 is 3. And by 3, I mean that when you're with the right people and with people that bring out your light, your humor, your fun, your play, then actually that person's making you a better person and you're making that person a better person. So I just think that all of what we're talking about today, the joy, the laughter, the play, is part of that light, part of that 1 + 1 equals 3
When
formula.
I taught human sexuality at Huntington, I started the first course in that. Always teaching with a female partner. And then courses like Death and Dying, lots of laughter, lots of
laughter.
Humor. Think of how conservative, believe me, Alabama's very conservative. Mm-hmm. But I was very open and honest, graphic, teaching responsibility, but very sex positive. But that's the course I use the most humor in.
Interesting.
Well, and you teach your courses in comedy clubs?
No, it's
just kidding.
I taught 26 years at
just kidding.
A college here, Huntington College, the Methodist Liberal Arts. Then I taught at Auburn University in Montgomery, adjunct. But we had a comedy club in Montgomery for the Punchline for 2 years, and I always take my night classes when we graduate there.
There you go.
We put these shirts on that said Huntington College Human Sexuality Class. And talking about professional comics from New York and LA, they go crazy over these shirts. When's the lab gonna be?
So you work with veterans. You've done laughter workshops.
PTSD.
You've done human sexuality workshops. Wow. So I want to hear a little bit about, even though it's not particularly funny, I want to hear a little bit about your work with the vets, because we've done a lot of work.
I want to tell you about
PTSD.
That.
Go ahead.
Most of the time, unless they're clinically depressed and some maybe suicidal, we get some laughter by the second or third session.
You do.
And about 2/3 will cry in the first session. Mm-hmm. And I always have Kleenex nearby. But I learned from John Lee. I was real active in the men's movement for about 23 years, and still somewhat with Robert Bly and John Lee. And John said, don't give a Kleenex too fast to somebody crying, because maybe they take that as a message. Mm-hmm. Stop crying. Mm-hmm. And you want them to cry as much as they need to.
Mm-hmm. That's
sure
a really good
point.
So
the great thing about the laughter workshops, both teaching classes and doing workshops, is to put the big plug in. The word emotion comes from the Latin word emotere, to move through your emotions. Mm-hmm. That's why Annette Goodhart would get somebody on the stage for 700 people, like in Clearwater. She had this woman say, I was sexually abused by my father, tee-hee. And then she'd go into then she'd get them to do abreactive therapy, which I've been through that, as well as CBT. And I always tell people, don't trust a therapist that had their own therapy. But she would go to anger and then crying. This woman, she got up there. She didn't go that far all the time, but she ended up laughing. And she told Annette, I feel so much lighter. I feel like today has been a breakthrough. Trauma from abuse.
I talk a lot about paradigm shift in my work, and I think when we are able to shift, we experience all realm of emotion, like you're saying. And Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who was the doctor who spoke about stages of death and dying. I think that we're always going through stages like this. We're in denial, and then we're in bargaining, and then we're in acceptance. So I think a healthy human being gets to experience a full range of their emotions. And so I think that every topic has, you can relate, even to death, you can relate in a sad way, in a boring way, in a hysterical way. I mean, look at the movie Harold and Maude, right? And that was a really, really fun movie.
One of my very favorite movies.
That movie is a hoot.
Mine too.
It's just a hoot.
Right. And a lot of jokes about dying, and a lot of jokes
absolutely.
about very, very morbid topics. And I think that that's one way that we handle morbidity, one way that we handle tragedy, is that we laugh because we don't want the cortisol to build up. We want that serotonin and the endorphin to release.
Well, Judy, Dr. Judy, you're a good role model of that. I looked at Facebook page and some of your work, and you're so engaged with people, and that laughter and letting go. And I think you do a lot of abreactive therapy. I'm real big into attachment theory too. But too many people, especially this part of the country, is pretty conservative. I love RET and CBT. I went to 12 workshops with Albert Ellis, and I loved his the Garland of Rational Songs. Can you? I'm going to shut up and let you talk. Can you curse on your show, or do you rather us not?
Oh, it's podcast.
We're interneted, so we're not regulated. But if it's necessary,
go ahead. Song.
Okay.
It's called "I'm Just a Goddamn Love Slob. Love me all the time. Love me intensely. Don't ever do anything but love me, or I'll kill myself."
Who's that?
You have to know Ellis.
That?
Ellis was a major mentor, but he talked like a sailor.
Are you talking about Albert? Are you talking about Albert Ellis?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I want to ask you a question, because I go to the cause, and CBT is part of the work.
I've been to 12 workshops with Albert, so he made a big impression. Go ahead.
Okay, so now I'm curious to know, since you know a little bit about my work and you know how I go to the cause and attachment theory, and Albert Ellis, I don't think he does so much. He's not really banging on the cause part. So what? He
debated a man that's a lot like you in New Orleans in '73.
Okay.
And he said, "Ed, you're full of goddamn crap. That shit ain't got any scientific validity." Albert, when he was younger especially, was known not to be the most affirming guy.
So what do you think? I mean, you know my system. I don't know if you've read my book, but you know somewhat of my system.
You
and
need
the
to read her
importance
book.
Of I go into cause.
I've read a big part. I really like it. I'm definitely going to finish it.
Thank you. And I just.
In fact, I got it right here sitting next to me.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Human disconnect.
That's correct.
That is the one. So I'm just wondering what you think, having studied Albert Ellis and studying the philosophy of going to the cause. What's your take on it? Do you think that Ellis was right? Just forget the cause and go right for the CBT, or go for the cause?
No, here's what I think.
Go ahead.
Do the abreactive work first. Get the emotion out. Like I went through therapy 3 years with Dr. Glenn Bannister here in town, and he'd have me beaten on a pillow, laughing, then crying. But he hypnotized me a lot of times first. He's about one of the few people I trusted enough to let him do hypnotherapy.
Okay.
So I believe in an eclectic of mixing up the cognitive and the abreactive, but he's great for simple problems. It doesn't even for trauma. I don't.
Yeah,
cortisol.
I'm gonna Google him some more because I'd like to know his take, because I have a lot of respect for Albert Ellis and his work, the CBT stuff. I just
cognitive behavioral therapy is CBT.
Right. I just happen to think that
when
you
he
have to
first
do
started writing about it at 55, a guide to rational living, he called it rational emotive therapy.
Mm-hmm.
And then over the years, it changed to cognitive behavioral therapy.
Right. So I going back to, I know that wasn't very funny, I have to admit. We veered off. It wasn't funny, but important. And I did want to know your thoughts on it because I know you've done so much reading and work. But going back to the theme of not just laughter, but actually being able to play, I find that the most favorite people for me to be around are people that I could just really be silly and playful with.
Well,
right. And be a little girl, a little boy.
And be yourself.
I agree.
Yeah, and be different characters. There's nothing that's more fun for me than just to not be me. It's not always that fun to be me.
I teach a lot of role play.
You're role playing, Judy?
Dr. Judy? Where my son played the campus date rape. I really think role playing is a beautiful, fun thing. And it's a good way to teach.
Yeah, and particularly I love doing that with children because they're so in on it. You could just switch roles, and they could switch roles, and there's not a lot of trying to convince them. They just love it. They like to be the big dinosaur or the big robot and the monster, or they like to fly like Peter Pan. And I think, and all of that, and there is a distinction between what I'm talking about and play therapy, because there's an area of therapy called play therapy.
Did you read Virginia Axeline's book? It's way back at 55. That was the first book written about play therapy. But it was fantastic. Therapy.
Well, play therapy is a really important way to get children to speak metaphorically and to express themselves if they don't have the words and the concepts. And through their play, they could show the therapist what's going on in their lives. And through pictures and paintings, they could really express. So I think that the more we can engage with our intuition and our creative and our instinctual and other parts of our brain other than just the cognitive, the brainy part of our brain, that's the smarts, just to let that go.
I agree, integrating the left and right sides of the brain, but I'm much more of a right brain type therapist and teacher.
So what are you currently doing?
I'm working a lot of hours. I'm working full-time therapist at the Tuskegee
At where?
Veterans Administration.
At the Veterans.
And here's the great thing. It's called Mental Health Integrative. I get warm handoffs from the doctors who think somebody might possibly have PTSD or depression, so they don't have that average 50-day wait for mental health.
Okay.
And then I can see them once a week, once every 2 weeks, like 6 to 10 times. And I also work with families. I love getting men and women dogs. Dogs help you laugh a whole lot.
Oh, I'm lucky to have 2 of those. I'm also curious, when you're done reading my book, what you think about applying mind map therapy to the veterans. That would be really interesting for me. I'm
definitely going to call back and tell you.
Okay.
What I've read of your book, I really like a lot.
We'd love you to call back.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, it's been said
I had a talk show here in Montgomery, the only call-in talk show called Pathways to Growth with Brooke back in 94. And I loved it. It's mostly my friends calling.
We would have called in if you still had it. We would have been on your show.
I mean, it says here that he or she who laughs lasts.
Lasts. Yeah. It's not he who laughs first, laughs, or what's that phrase? Yeah. He who laughs first,
laughs best or something.
Laughs last.
Laugh last.
Not that one.
No, it says he or she
who laughs. I would warn people
lasts.
At the beginning of the workshop, the only risk here with this workshop is you might get an expanded jocular vein and hemorrhoids.
And don't forget to wear your Depends, and don't forget that. I think.
Well, I want to give other people a chance to talk. I mean, I love sharing with you.
No, we're very happy that you came on the show.
Yeah, so thanks so much.
I think, how much time do we have, Walt?
About 4 minutes.
About 4 minutes?
Yeah,
Okay, so
before
I
we gotta
think
do our
we have
song.
to shrink
we
our
got
tune pretty
about 3 or
soon.
4 more minutes.
Yes,
now?
sir.
I hope
Or
you
do
like.
we need to?
Yeah, go ahead, Walt. You
Yeah,
have
I
the
want to
time.
tell you, my grassroots started at a state mental hospital. And I was in my 20s, just sitting one flew the cuckoo's nest, and we were all young radical leftists. It was down near Mobile, and I loved that. I saw these people as just people, maybe not as strong a constitution, but I loved them. I think having some ADD was a gift for working with a lot of schizophrenics and mental patients.
Couldn't agree with you more.
And I never laughed at them. I laughed with them.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. Like you said, what children can teach. With my son, who's my best friend, I took him to a back ward where sometimes have to hold my crotch. A couple of women would be like grabbing, and just taking him in there at 2 years old with a basketball, it was like it humanized him. It brought out the mother and the sweetness and the love and the spirituality so beautifully. You know, I wouldn't have taken them if I thought they were dangerous. But no feces throwing that day, thank God.
Oh, that's a good thing. So I think it's time to shrink our tune, Walt. Is
Well,
that
actually, what I want to do, close out with, before we do that, we got a couple of minutes.
Okay.
This is a very, very well-known case, but it's worth repeating. It's Norman Cousins. In 1964.
That's what started. First
Yes, sir.
I ever heard was
sir.
Anatomy of an Illness. I love that guy.
Okay.
I always showed his TV movie that Ed Asner starred in Laughter and Play class at Huntington.
In 1964, following a very stressful trip to Russia, he was diagnosed with a breakdown of his collagen. And it was in almost constant pain and motivated by his doctor that he would die within a few months. He disagreed and reasoned that if stress had somehow contributed to his illness, then possibly positive emotions would help him feel better. So, with his doctor's consent, he checked himself out of the hospital and into the hotel right across the street and began taking extreme high doses of vitamin C and exposing himself to continuous stream of humorous films and similar laughter matter. He later claimed that 10 minutes of belly-rippling laughter would give him 2 hours of pain-free sleep.
That's
when nothing
better than
else,
yoga.
That's when nothing
And guess
else.
what? The last book he ever wrote, The Biology of Hope, over 500 schools had it on the medical. It was proven scientifically.
Yes.
This is what
Yes.
you're saying, Walt. It's totally true.
He said not even morphine would help him, and he would get 2 hours of restful sleep from 10 minutes.
Amazing.
Within 6 months, he was back on his feet. Within 2 years, he was able to return to a full-time job, and his story baffled the scientific community and inspired a number of research projects. I had
playing singles tennis again, too. It showed a film. It showed him in that.
Yeah, I just had to throw that in. So we are now going to do our Shrink That Tune, and you can join in if you care to. It's by request, we're doing Mary Poppins, and from the section of the movie, I Love to Laugh. And we're going to close out with it, of course. I love to laugh, loud and long and clear. I love to laugh. It's getting worse every year.
Well, I think that given the topic that we're on, we now know why he loves to laugh with all the endorphin releases. And it's getting worse every year. Laughter is contagious. And also, I think as we grow older, we need that release.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The more I laugh, the more...
We need as much Saturday Night Live as we can get.
Yes, yes, indeed. And I miss Johnny Carson. The more I laugh...
Thank y'all for letting me share.
No worries.
My pleasure.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for sharing.
Call back when... finish Dr. Judy's book or otherwise.
Yes.
I will. Okay.
Thank
y'all
you.
God bless.
Doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.
Well, that was fun.
That was fun.
There we go.
Yes.
So back to our song. The more I laugh, the more I fill with glee, and the more the glee, the more I'm merrier me. It's embarrassing the more I'm a merrier me.
Well, the person's talking about being released. Just this thing that just it's embarrassing because he's pushing the envelope, but it doesn't matter because the high is the high, the joy is the joy.
And when you see the clip on YouTube, which you need to watch, he definitely pushes the glee and is very high.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Right.
Some people laugh through their noses. sounding something like this: dreadful. Some people laugh through their teeth, goodness sake, hissing and fizzing like snakes. Not all that attractive to my way of thinking.
Well, I think it's so cute the way he's describing other people's laughter, right? This is Dick Van Dyke in Mary Poppins, and
yes, it is.
He's just such a jolly fellow,
Yes.
and so he's just making fun of the way that we laugh, and it's so cute because some people hiss, some people just guffaw, whatever they're doing, but it doesn't matter. It's just all human, isn't it?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Some laugh too fast. Some only blast. Others, they twitter like birds. You know, you're as bad as he is. Then there's the kind, what can't make up their mind.
Well, maybe these are the people that are a little bit inhibited. They don't know whether it's appropriate to laugh or not, and so they withhold a little bit, and they chuckle a little and then go, I'm not sure. Okay.
When things strike me as funny, I can't hide it inside and squeak at the squeaklers do. I got to let it go with a ho, ho, ho and a ha, 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 too.
Well, eventually it just spills out, doesn't it? So it's
Can't
just
contain
that,
it. It's contagious.
Can't contain it.
As
Right.
you'll see and hear. We love to laugh loud and clear. We love to laugh so everybody can hear. The more you laugh, the more you fill with glee. And the more the glee, the more we're a merrier me.
We.
Oh, excuse me, it's merrier we.
Well, I like the fact that it's we because that's like the interconnection thing, that people just love to share laughter. Sometimes it's fun to laugh alone, but
one thing
to share it is
absolutely,
really
and that's
wonderful.
why somebody doesn't mind telling a joke again, because not only are they sharing it and you can laugh, but they can laugh with you again as well. And again, laughter is very contagious.
Definitely.
So this has been a fun show. Hope you had laughter too at us, and the audience liked it.
On the lighter side of things. So today we got off of all that heavy-duty wounds and psychopathology, and we lightened it up.
We lined it up with
Yeah.
I Love to Laugh with Mary Poppins. So this has been Dr. Judy WTF, which of course is What the Freud. I'm Walt Lusk, your host with Dr. Judy Rosenberg. You can check us out on iTunes or YouTube or iHeartRadio, and here of course at ubnradio.com. And you can write us at info@drjudywtf if you have a .com, an idea for a show or a song to shrink. And thanks for that. We've been at this just 3 years, folks.
3 years, wow.
Yeah, almost 3 years.
That's amazing. And also for those of you who are looking for psychotherapy and sliding scale psychotherapy, we have a really wonderful staff at the Psychological Healing Center, and we also do teletherapy.
Yes, you do. And hope you enjoyed our laughter. Until next time, appreciate you watching and listening and liking us on Facebook and subscribing us on YouTube. Take care, everyone, and God bless. And here's our song.
Yes, whatever you do, keep a straight face. Last time it took us 3 days to get him down.
I love to laugh.